All right. So now, having spent the day investigating and thinking about what Dennet offers us and who am I just want to offer a little bit of commentary to kind of bookend a little bit of that conversation, a little bit of that piece. So hopefully you did find it interesting. You found it kind of trippy because I mean it's out there, right? It starts pretty safe. It starts pretty, I mean it's still weird the whole scenario. Um, but it starts kind of, pretty understandable. And and then I think the real interesting part of the film is, I mean, we have the initial surgery where Dennett's brain gets removed from his body, right? Gets placed in the vat in Houston. Dennett's body goes to Tulsa to try to discover and try to, dismantle the warhead that's under Tulsa, Oklahoma. And so we have this idea that anything, back in Houston, right? That is where Dennett's brain is located. It's where the brains of the operation are, literal and metaphoric. But Dennett's body is under Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, with that in mind, and kind of like in thinking about that, and looking at this kind of relationship of the brain being separated from the body, there's a paragraph in there that gives that example of, like, let's say I were to go to I were to go and try to rob a bank I mean, I'm in Idaho right now, so let's say I go rob a bank in Nebraska, right? And let's say my physical body gets caught. Okay, I get caught by the police in the middle of the bank robbery, right? Well, where would they say that the actual bank robbery took place? Did it take place in Nebraska where the body was, or did it take place back in Idaho where the brains of the operation were? They were controlling my body to operate in a particular way, right? And so we have, again, this divide of mind and body, of brain and body. And again, the distinction of mind and brain I'm not being too careful with, so maybe we should investigate that. But, right, so that I mean, that's the initial setup here, though, right, is the idea that the brain and the body are separated. Okay, so where is Dennet? Where am I? That's the title of the piece. And then we go through that moment where Dennett's body, right, gets affected by all the radiation due to the warhead, and so his body malfunctions. His body essentially dies, right? But his brain is still alive back in Houston, right, at the control center. And so then the piece goes on, and eventually we learn that Dennet now has a new body. Okay. We don't know how he got a new body. That's not. I mean, there's questions that I know we could ask, but he has a new body. And right, the body is connected to the brain in Houston, and so now again we have this. Excuse me. Now we have this new setup of we've got a new body, same brain. Okay. So where is Dennet? Is he in the brain? Is he in the new body? Is he both? But it's a new body. It's not his own physical body because his physical body is still a mile deep under Tulsa, Oklahoma. And then we learn, right, that at the initial sequencing of Dennett's brain and Dennett's body, his real body, they were also running a computer program that that they were running a computer program of Dennett's brain. And so now we learn that Dennet has a new body, and now that Dennet, right, can either be connected to a computer program or his own brain. And the difference between the two is indistinguishable, right? The idea that Dennet doesn't know if he's being run by a computer program or if he's being run by his brain. And so the question is, does it matter? Right? I think it probably does. But the distinction is so unnoticeable that, right, Dennet has no idea. And so now, kind of near the end of the piece, we had this kind of setup of All right, well, Dennet's new body, his brain's still the same in the vat, but he's still being run by a computer. And he is now in charge of kind of which sequence, which signaling he wants to be on, but he also doesn't know which one is which. So all of this to kind of suffice at the very end of the piece of really kind of asking the question, well, where is he, right? When Dennett says, I am sitting here, what is he referring to? Is he referring to his physical body? Is he referring to his brain in the vat? Is he referring to this computer program? And does it make any difference that he now doesn't know if it's the computer program or the brain in the vat, right? So all of these questions are kind of wrapped up in to really kind of seriously challenge our conception of identity, where we might know no difference, right? We might know no difference insofar as, like, I could be sitting here filming this video lecture, but I could be being run by a computer program because I don't know otherwise. My brain could be outside of my body and I wouldn't know otherwise. And so that's where we're at, right? And that adds a lot of really interesting and trippy questions as it relates to the nature of identity, right? So hopefully that gives you all a little bit to consider, kind of just, in a very kind of trippy, metaphysically fun way of investigating the nature of identity, right? Of thinking about who we are, who it is we think we are, who it is we've been, and who it is we hope to be. Well, how much control do we, and when we even say we, what do we mean by that? But do we have any control over that? Do we have any control? Do we have any, really kind of fruition over that? Because it very well could be the case that we are just, connected to a brain in a vat, or we're being run on a computer program and we would know no otherwise. I'll leave you with that.